Banished is a medieval city building game developed by Shining Rock, consisting of only one man. However, this feels like a AAA release, just without the downsides of it being developed by someone who wants to take your money then piss on your grave. You start out, as with many city building games, in the middle of fucking nowhere, and you start harvesting the natural resources around you to grow as a community. I'm assuming that the people that you start with have been banished from somewhere for being randy, hungry, fashion-conscious, needy hypocrites, but I'll get onto why I think that later. I started out loving Banished. Expansion felt good as I tore down the world around me to develop the settlement I'd called Sharkland. I built farms and a hunter's lodge for food, and they made all sorts of things so that I could prevent illness and make people healthier. I was quite impressed that unlike any city builder I've ever played, this was a season-based builder. For instance, if you don't have enough farmers, your crops won't be harvested by winter and your precious potatoes and such will wither and die just like my enthusiasm for this game did, once that I'd hit about 40 citizens. At this point, I remember building a schoolhouse and assigning what I can only assume to be a radical fundamentalist as a teacher. What went on in that school behind closed doors was a mystery, but I can imagine an average lesson would consist of the teacher going, "Remember the old days? Remember when we had nothing? All we had was a shed and a pile of materials, and it was perfect. All we have now is warm coats, fresh venison, an ample selection of herbs, more potatoes than you can shake a stick at, and a small herd of sheep. Who the fuck wants that, kids?" I think this because after a couple of weeks with the so-called teacher, the happiness level started to drop. This drop could have been due to everyone's elders being brutally murdered by falling rocks and agitated deer, but my theory made the slow gameplay more bearable. I did have time to come up with theories about what else happened behind the bolted doors of the Devil's Schoolhouse. Alongside the How It Used to Be 101 lessons, there was an introduction to tree hugging and coping with your mammoth vagina. I mean, seriously, if this is a child less than a year old, the women of Sharkland have some mammoth mega minges, and the men are severely disappointed in the night times. The newborn tree huggers also revolted, so despite having two fully staffed foresters, the log supply trickled in like someone pissing with prostate problems, or if someone trod on a hose. Another lesson taught in Satan's Hell Hut was Gok Wan's idea of how to look good naked. It seemed that however many coats I made for them, they'd wear them once or twice and then toss them into the river, where Merrick the fucking seed merchant would refuse them as currency again. That motherfucker came to me at least 5 times in a row, trying to flog me pumpkin seeds before any useful traders came along. It took me 4 years to buy a sheep, for fuck's sake. As you can tell, my attitude toward this game changed. The first 2 or 3 hours are great, but then after that, appeasing your little community becomes an arduous task where you never feel comfortable. Thank fuck that the interface is as unobtrusive as you want it to be and people fuck like rabbits to keep you in supply of hungry children. All I can say about Banished is you should buy it if it looks like your cup of tea, but just don't build a fucking school.